Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tim Eaves, your Republican candidate for state representative, position 1 in the 41st District, running against Marcy Maxwell, a two-term incumbent Democrat. I got into this race because I want to focus on the accountability, the efficiency, and the effectiveness of our government in Olympia. When it comes down to accountability, there are a couple of issues that have come up over the last few years that are extremely important to me, and I think to probably everyone in this area. And that is, first of all, a couple of years ago we voted and said that we don't want to have an income tax. We voted and said that we wanted to have the legislature require a 2/3 vote of both houses before we raise taxes on the citizens of the state of Washington. Marcy Maxwell is just one of the Democrat caucus who are, on the one hand, suing the state of Washington, the citizens of the state of Washington, to overturn this 2/3 requirement, to have the state Supreme Court declare it unconstitutional, that they should have to live up to a requirement that the citizens vote on. Secondly, the Democrat platform for 2012 in the state of Washington, one of the top planks on that platform is, we need an income tax. Well, you put that 2/3 requirement together with what the Democrats want. If they win in November, they are going to have an income tax in January. They're going to turn around to say to the citizens of the state of Washington, we don't really care what you want, we're going to do it our way. That's where it comes into accountability. A couple of weeks ago I had an interview. During that interview I was asked a question. Suppose that you had a position come up where you found out that you were opposed to that of the position of the majority of your constituents. How would you vote on that issue in the legislature? I thought about it for a few seconds and I thought, you know what? We are a representative republic. The campaign is an interview process where I try to tell the people of the district who I am and what I stand for. It is also a performance evaluation for the person who holds the office right now. In the general election in November, we pick a person to represent us in Olympia. Now, when you do that, you're saying, I probably am not going to agree with 100% of what that person does, but I like, on balance, what that person represents. I am going to hire that person for that job because I believe that he's better than the other option that I have. During the time of office, 2 years for a representative, 4 years for a senator, that's your job. You make votes, you make decisions, and your constituents have the ability during that time to know who you are better than maybe they did during the interview process. And the next election that comes around, they have the right to either rehire you or fire you. Accountability. Marcy Maxwell, I don't believe, is accountable to the citizens of the 41st District or of the state of Washington. I believe that she needs to be fired from her position, and I would humbly ask for your vote so that I may be hired and take us in a different direction. I believe in the 2/3 vote requirement. I believe in no income tax. I believe that the state needs to live within its means. It needs to be more efficient in how it does the job that state government requires. And I want to do those things that I believe the majority of the citizens of the state of Washington and the 41st District want done in Olympia. The second thing that I want to focus on in Olympia is education. Education is the primary constitutional responsibility of the state of Washington. I believe it's Section 9 of the Constitution says that the paramount duty of the state of Washington is to provide for the education of its children. Now, I'm going to focus specifically right now on K-12 education. K-12 education needs to be both accountable and efficient and effective. We have about an 18% completion rate among high school, well, I don't want to call them graduates, but people who pass through the 12th grade in the state of Washington. 18% non-completion rate. That needs to change. That needs to get better. Why do I know that? Because I, as a small business owner, know that the people that I hire need to have the skills that they should have learned in high school. I need to have people that are qualified to do the things that I do in my business. Come out of high school and be capable of entering careers in the state, or entering college and not have to take remedial classes in order to get up to speed so that they can complete their college curriculum. So it's important that we get good graduates out of school. How we do that is we make the system accountable. The state spends 40% of its budget on education, and we want to make sure that the money that we're spending is well spent. It needs to be spent efficiently, it needs to be spent effectively, and again, back to that word, accountable. The teachers and the administrations of the school districts of the state need to be accountable for the performance of their districts and how they turn out graduates. We need to have standards that work across the state that everybody lives by, and they need to be standards, A, that we know that we can meet, and B, that are being met in ways that, maybe we haven't thought of before. An example of that would be charter schools. Charter schools is not the answer to reducing that non-completion rate from high school, but it is a tool that we can use. Marcy Maxwell and her constituency, the WEA, are opposed to charter schools. They're opposed, quite frankly, to the accountability portion of the equation. I want to change that. I want to be part of that change in Olympia. That gets back to one of the reasons why I'm running. I want Rob McKenna to be elected governor of the state of Washington. If Rob McKenna is elected, he will have a tough time doing what needs to be done as the governor if he doesn't have a Republican House and a Republican Senate. I want to be part of that equation. That's why I'm running. If I were not running, Marcy Maxwell had no competition. It was a walk. I didn't want to let that happen. That was one of my motivations for standing up and saying, I think I want to run for this position. So, again, I'm Tim Eaves, your candidate, 41st District, and I want your support, and I want your vote, and I want you to tell all your friends that they do have an alternative in November. We have a way that we can help to fix the state of Washington and make it prosperous in the future and not burden the business community or the citizens with additional taxation. I believe it can be done, and I want to be part of that solution. Thank you.
Yeah.